In section 7.7 we're looking at complex numbers, and we're mostly going to focus on the two properties right here. I squared equals -1 and I equals the square root of -1. So when I rewrite number 1, I want to write it as the square root of 25 times the square root of a -1. I want to factor that -1 out each time. So the square root of 25 is 5. Square root of -1 is our I. Next, we're going to rewrite the next one as square root of 17 times square root of -1. That becomes the square root of 17. And this is our I, but I'm going to put it out front so it doesn't appear to go under the radical bar. Okay, next, my negative sign comes down. Rewrite the square root of 50. I'm going to come off to the side and do prime factorization. That's 2 times 25, and 25 is 5 times 5. So this is 5 squared times 2. And then now I'm also going to multiply it by that square root of -1. So because my exponent matches my index, I get 5 square root of 2. My negative sign comes down out front, and also this becomes my I. Let me squeeze it in right there. So we get -5i square root of 2. Next, we're multiplying. That becomes square root of I square root of 3 times I square root of 7, which gives us I squared times the square root of 3 times 7 is 21. I squared is -1 times the square root of 21, so this is negative square root of 21. Okay, next we have square root of 25, -25 is going to be 5i, and then times I, that gives us 5i squared. I squared is -1, so we get -5. Next, we're going to break this one apart. We're going to have square root of a -8 over square root of a -2. Going to multiply. I don't want a radical in the denominator, so I'm going to multiply by square root of 2. Whatever you do here, you're also going to do here. Multiply straight across. It's going to give me, we're going to get square root of -16 over square root of 4. Rewrite this as 4i. Square root of 4 is 2. Simplify that and you get 2i. Next, we're looking at complex numbers. We're going to add or subtract. It's like adding like terms. So 5 plus 4 is 9, and then 2i minus 3i is -1i. Distribute your negative down here, and that's just pretty much going to change the signs. So don't forget to distribute when you subtract. So a -2 plus a +3 is going to give me just a 1 minus 4i. Next, we're multiplying. You're going to get -15i squared, but we said I squared equals -1. So now when we multiply, we're going to get a +15. Over here, we're going to FOIL. 6 times 3 is 18, plus 3i minus 24i minus 4i squared. We're going to replace this I squared with the -1. We're going to go back and simplify, so we have 18, 3 minus 24 is minus 21i, and then -4 times a -1 is a +4, so we're going to add like terms. 22 minus 21i. Next, we're dividing. Next, we want to take a minute. The conjugates are a plus bi and a minus bi. If you notice, the only difference is the plus and the minus sign. When I'm trying to find a conjugate in number 11, because we don't want an imaginary number in the denominator, we're looking for the conjugate, so we want to pay attention to this note. We're going to multiply both sides by the conjugate, which is -5i. Whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. Multiply straight across and you get -30i over -25i squared. Well, now we're just continuing. negative 25I squared becomes our negative 1. So we simplify this and we get negative 30I over 25. Simplify that, that's going to be negative 6I over 5. Next, we have the conjugate. We're looking for the conjugate of 2 plus 3I, and since it's a binomial, we get 2 minus 3, 2 plus 3I, so that's our conjugate, remember, because the signs have to be opposite. 2 plus 3I. Now we're going to have to FOIL in the top and FOIL in the bottom. Actually, in conjugates, the inside terms cancel, but I'm just going to go ahead and do it anyway so that you can see it. We're going to FOIL. We're going to get 3 times 2 is 6 plus 9I plus 2I plus 3I squared. All over 4 first, outer plus 6I, inner minus 6I, last is minus 9I squared. All of our I squares we need to replace with the negative 1, and we're going to simplify these, so we're going to get 6 plus, we're going to add like terms here, so we get 9 plus 2 is 11I, and then 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. On the bottom we have 4. Our inside terms cancel, as always with conjugates. Negative 9 times a negative 1 is a positive 9. We're going to simplify that, and we get 3 plus 11I over 13. 3 plus 11I over 13. Next, we're going to be talking about powers of I, and we need to recall that I squared equals negative 1. So if we can rewrite these to be I squares to the something power, well, power to a power you multiply, so 5 times 2 gives me 10, but I need 11, so I'm going to have one more left over. Well, I squared I'm going to put as negative 1 to the 5th power, and then I still have that I, so negative 1 to the 5th power is negative 1 times I, which is just negative I. Number 40, if we can rewrite negative I to the 40th power using an I squared, we can rewrite it using our power to a power rule. 2 times 20 is 40, so that represents our 40. I squared is negative 1, so that becomes negative 1 to the 20th power, which is just positive 1. So our main two ideas that we talked about in this section were I squared equals negative 1 and I is equal to the square root of negative 1. So we want to recall those.